But when we overthink, we're too busy crafting all these thoughts and all these scenarios that again will never happen. I will keep saying that, guys. When life is good, is the best moment to work on your issues, because when you're good, you can think about it, you can meditate, you can process, you can hear the Lord before you are triggered, so that when it happens, you have the chance to respond differently, because you start to change your attitude and your behavior towards those people in your life, and you react because of what is in your mind. I would be reminded, okay, I made the decision to stop overthinking. I need to stop this now. I'm not going there again. I'm not doing this again. I'm done with it. I'm done with this thing because it's so bad for me. It's so damaging for me, and it's so damaging for people around me, people that I love. Gosh, finally. It's been such a fight to film this episode. I was like, what the heck is going on? What is going to happen in this episode? Oh my goodness. Can I literally start this episode by thanking you for all the support and encouragement that you've shown for the first episode and all the giving and all the comments and all the appreciation and the messages. Guys, it means the world, and it's really a confirmation that I'm doing the right thing. And here I'm not talking about, oh my gosh, it's giving pleasure to my flesh, but like, it's really important that I see a good response to what I'm doing, so that I, understand, okay, this is the right thing. Okay, this needs to be adjusted. Okay, we need to, do this a little bit differently. And with the same occasion, I want to invite you guys that if you have any suggestions or things that we could do, that I could do to improve the experience of this podcast, if there are things that we could do in a different way, or things that don't even fit the type or the standard of a podcast, but you think that we should do those, feel free to suggest them. Feel free to message me, to comment. I'm so open to do anything, guys. Like, I told God that, you know what, like, I know I'm doing a podcast, but to be honest, I don't care that it's a podcast. Like, if you want me to do something that supposedly doesn't fit a podcast, I don't care. I'm just going to do it. So, guys, if there's anything that needs to be done, just let me know. Okay? So, welcome back to Holy-ish. It's giving saved, but slightly struggling, because life, and sometimes life sucks, right? Like, there's moments that we just need to be more honest about with each other and with God and with ourselves. And if you're tired of all the religion, and if you're tired of all the pretense and perfection and performance and all the churchy language, welcome to the right place to be. I'm actually so happy that I feel so joyful at the moment, because, guys, it was such a fight to film this episode. Like, I've been setting up for 3 hours. I'm not exaggerating. 3 hours. Like, something was not right, either about the light, either about the cameras, or about the background, or I was not ready, or it just felt so difficult to finally get to the place where I can hit record and just do this. And at some point, I literally had to stop, because I was like, Lord, if I do this right now, I'm going to perform, because I'm already frustrated. I don't have joy about making this episode, and I need a break, because my whole morning from like 10 or 10:30 to almost 1, it just went on me trying things, but it was just not working out. And I was like, okay, I need a break. So I took a break. I had lunch, I prayed, I, brought my heart to a quiet place and listened to the Lord. And now I'm back again, doing it with the right heart posture, but I had to slow down, and it's okay. Cause like, my first instinct and my first reflex was, oh my gosh, I almost wasted the entire day. My entire morning and noon are gone, and I didn't film anything. And yeah, it would have been so easy to just go down that path. And as I know myself, that would be what I would do. And I would still do it. I would still film. I would still do whatever I have to do, but I would perform. And I was like, no, it just doesn't feel right for me to talk about vulnerability, to talk about transparency while I perform. I was like, no, I can't do that. So I'm so grateful that I didn't do it because now like I have genuine joy and excitement for this episode. How are you guys? You can let me know in the comments. I would really appreciate, and I'm really excited to know how you are and how you're doing and how your journey with the Lord is, and if there's any feedback from the first episode, like how it's been after you implemented some of the things that we talked about in the first episode. Feel free to, I don't know, send a comment, send an email, DM me, whatever you feel like doing. I always go through everything that you guys send me. Before we dive into it, even this melody that you're hearing at the moment, the soundtrack of Holy-ish, which you're gonna hear throughout all the episodes, I wanna give a shout out for it to my friend Hannah. And I put a link in the description where you can check her music. I'm really excited because she put all her heart in this, and I believe it really reflects like the mood and the vibe and yeah, like just the energy of what I want to do in this podcast. So check her link. She recently just launched her single, and you can encourage her and tell her what you think about her music. I think it's really encouraging for us as creators to get your feedback, guys, not because we're trying to please you, but because we're putting out there something that feels vulnerable. Like even, you know, this episode, it's vulnerable for me to put it out there because I know how much work has gone into it and will be going into it even after I finish filming. But like, it's a vulnerable thing that we're putting out there. So yeah, we need that, right? We need that. Our hearts need that. And also shout out to Hendrik, my friend who made the cover art of this podcast. Like everything that you see good looking about the cover art of this podcast, it's thanks to his amazing skills. Shout out to him. I also leave a link in the description so that you can check out his work and get in touch with him. Yeah, I'm so grateful that God brought people in my life to really complement the things that, you know, need to be done to create a beautiful product. Because as I know myself, I would normally try to do everything by myself, because I've had some moments in my life where I was all by myself, or at least it felt that I was all by myself. And in order to cope with the stuff that I was going through, I learned to do everything by myself and to be on my own. And sometimes I tend to fall into the same thing over and over again, even though it's not the case anymore, and it's not helpful, and it's not even godly, I would say, because I don't believe that God wants me to be by myself in everything that I do. And sometimes I tend to fall into that, and I need to constantly remind myself, I don't have to do everything by myself. I have people in my life that can help me with these things. And thank you so much for all who have given to this podcast. It means a lot. It's really helpful, guys, because, you know, I left my job to go full time into what I'm doing now, and your help, guys, is so important. And if it's burning on your heart to invest into this work that I do, you have a link in description. It's coffee, but spelled ko-fi.com/Victor Novitchi, my name. And that's where you can give, you can invest, you can pour into this podcast if you believe in the vision, if you believe that it's going to reach people and change lives. Okay, today you guys wanted me to talk about overthinking, and I love this topic because I've seen such a breakthrough in my life in this area. But yeah, before I go into my story, I just want to explain what is overthinking, because I know we all know what overthinking is, like heck, right? But like, I had the idea of going to the definition to see what's the definition of overthinking, because I was like curious what it sounds like, what it looks like. And it basically says thinking about something too much or too long in a way that it becomes harmful, or that is more harmful than helpful. And I was like, dang, that sounds pretty accurate, I would say. It's so trendy today to talk about overthinking and to be like, yes, I'm overthinking, I'm overthinking, and to always make these kind of jokes and to involve these things in kind of like who we are, because it's part of us, it's how we function. But just because it's common, just because it's popular, just because it's trending, it doesn't mean it's helpful. It doesn't mean it's good for you. It doesn't mean it's godly. It doesn't mean it brings you closer to God and brings you to who you're supposed to become. And again, first and foremost, I think I'm going to say this in every episode. There's absolutely no shame. There's absolutely no condemnation. There's absolutely no, even pressure on any of you who might struggle with this. We are at home here. We're talking freely about things. We're exploring. We see what we can deal with. We see what we can improve, how we can help each other, right? I'm still falling into overthinking sometimes. I'm still tempted to overthink a lot, but I'm not doing it as I used to do before. And I think that's a big reason to celebrate. So yeah, we're going to dive into this. And I want to suggest that overthinking is actually harmful because it invites fear into your life. It invites anxiety. It invites worries. And we know like God is always telling us, don't fear. You don't have anything to fear. We haven't been given a spirit of fear, but one of courage and self-control and love. That, God is not a God of fear, but is a God of love. That the only thing in this world that we're supposed to fear is God, like literally to be away from him, to be separated from him. That is the only thing that we're supposed to be scared of, and I feel like when we overthink, it's so easy. I'm not saying like that the very first thing that you start to overthink about, like the very first thought that comes while you're overthinking, okay, that's gonna make this dramatic invitation to a lot of stuff and darkness that you don't want to have. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that potentially it could bring a lot of fear into your life. It's like an open door for the enemy to bring fear, to bring anxiety and worries. I'm going to explain why as well. It's because when we overthink, we're not processing what is happening with God, but we're trying to process it by ourselves. Like we're trying to find solutions in our own strength, in our own capacity, because, God says like, don't worry about anything, but rather pray about everything. That's what he says. And I'm not saying that we should not communicate with God all the stuff that is going through our minds. Definitely we should. But what I'm saying is God wants us to bring to him the stuff that is on our minds, the stuff that is happening in our lives, the thing that we're scared of, not all the unnecessary what ifs. Hear me out. Not all the unnecessary what ifs that our mind is possible to craft, because if we're going down that spiral, we are going to invent a lot of stuff that will never happen. And I'm sure you will agree with me, guys, that in the moments when you go down the path of overthinking, it's so easy to fall into that place where your mind is rushing and producing all these things that will never happen. All these things that people will say that they will actually never say. All these things that, people will think about you that they actually never think of you. All these things that will happen that will actually never happen. And if we can explore why is overthinking so dangerous, besides the fact that, it invites fear, it makes us anxious and worried. Overthinking shifts your focus from God on yourself. Like you become super self-centered when you overthink, because your mind, everything that it does is to revolve around that one thing. It just keeps spinning around that one issue that you have, that one fear that you have, and that doesn't look like surrender. That looks like your mind trying to come up with a solution. And because you're not able to come up with solutions by yourself, the only thing to do is just going down the pit, the pit of overthinking, which creates problems that you will never have. Overthinking also makes you weak, because when you overthink, it's so easy to lose joy. It's so easy to lose joy, guys. And I notice in my life that when I'm not joyful about something, I become weak. I become weak and I become so fragile to the temptations of the enemy in the moments when I lack joy. And it's so weird because even more than 1 year ago, I never thought about that. it never crossed my brain that joy is so important. And actually it makes sense, guys, why God is constantly saying in the Bible, like, rejoice. Rejoice even when you go through all kind of crap. Rejoice, 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 rejoice. Because it's not a joy that comes from your circumstances, but it's a joy that comes from God. And when you're able to rejoice in God because of who He is, because of who you are in Him, because of what He's given you, because of what He's done for you, everything that has to do with your intimacy with Him, when you are able to rejoice in that, you become stronger. You know the verse, we all know the verse, the joy of the Lord is my strength. It means that when the joy of the Lord is not there, you're weak. And that might be why maybe some of you fall into temptation so often, because you're weak, because you lack the joy of the Lord. That's definitely the case for me. When I don't have the joy of the Lord, things are not going right. And as I told you before filming this episode, I lost my joy because I was already frustrated and tired, and I had to stop because I knew that if I would have continued without joy, it would have just been performance. I would have just performed now in front of this camera, in front of you guys. Overthinking also distorts your reality, because when you overthink, whatever is happening around you, whatever people tell you, it's going to be so difficult for you to see it through the right lens, because what you're wearing are those, overthinking glasses. You see everything through those glasses, through that lens. And it's so difficult to have a healthy, clear perspective about your situation, like for real, what is actually going on. And that's how you get isolated. And I'm not saying, again, the very first minute you overthink, you become isolated. No, but there's such a danger in overthinking, because eventually you can fall into isolation, and like you start to distance yourself from people, because, and of course it depends what you are actually overthinking. But if you're overthinking about people, about your relationship, about what people think about you, there's a high chance that you will distance yourself from people eventually. When you overthink, you tend to exaggerate a lot, like your perspective, like the thing that, maybe it's something real, maybe it's a fact, but maybe it's this size, the size of a hand, it will become the size of a house in your mind. But that's not the reality. And it's so easy to think that you have a problem. It's so easy to start thinking that something is wrong with you. It's so easy to start thinking that you're not loved, that you're not wanted, that you're not desired, that people are not for you, they're against you. And even when we have conversation in the moments when we overthink, usually we tend to talk about the stuff that happens at the surface. Like, I overthink about this thing, and I talk about all this stuff and thoughts that I have when I overthink, but we don't actually go to the root, because in those moments we're not super aware that there's a root. We're not super aware that there's a reason, there's a motive much deeper than that. And again, overthinking, it's a process. Usually it can start with something small, but if you give it space, if you make room for it, if you invite all these scenarios that, again, will never happen, most of them will never happen, but if you give way to it, you will see how it actually impacts your life in a bad way, because you start to change your attitude and your behavior towards those people in your life and towards these specific circumstances in your life. Like, you react because of what is in your mind. You know that, I'm going to give you a spoiler. People cannot read your minds. People cannot read your minds. And I'm going to give you an example that happened to me 1 year ago when I moved to Belgium. I had a hard time connecting with people on a level like more than, these kind of nice superficial conversations. And during a specific week, I really started to believe the fact that I'm not welcome here, that these people are different, I'm different, we cannot connect, there's nothing in common, I'm not really wanted, I'm not seen. And I isolated myself for a good couple of days. Until one day when this friend, he messaged me and he was like, "Hey bro, how are you doing?" And normally I would lie about this. Normally I would be like, "Yeah, I'm fine, whatever, I'm good, on you." But for some reason on that day, I was honest and I actually said, I'm actually not great. And the very next second, the friend calls me and I was like, oh my gosh, because, nowadays people don't really call too much. It's more like everything is in text messages. But this guy like called me immediately, and I was like, oh my gosh, should I pick up? Should I hang up? And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna say what I think. I'm just gonna say what I feel, how I feel. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, what can I lose, right? Like, I'm already isolated. I'm already not in a good relationship with anyone. That's what I was thinking. And I was like, what's there to lose, right? So I told him, and my friend was, almost shocked. At least that's how I perceived it. He was almost shocked because he didn't see it coming. He didn't expect it. He didn't know that I was feeling that way. And I was like, you don't know? Like, in my mind, I was like, he doesn't know I'm feeling like that? He doesn't see I'm feeling like that? What? And that's the moment when it kind of hit me that people cannot read my mind. And I was like, what the heck? And, after that conversation, I made the decision that I want to be more intentional in my relationships and more intentional in my communication, that I want to be more clear about my expectations. Like, if I need more attention, if I need more love, if I need more time with you, if I need more conversations with you, if I need to go deeper in our relationship, I have to communicate that. I have to tell you what my expectations are, because people cannot read your mind. People cannot read our minds, and that's normal. And I was like, oh, that's a thing, huh? That's a thing. Guys, hope you're enjoying the episode. Making this podcast is basically a full-time mission at this point, and I'd love your help keeping it alive. If you want to support it and get some exclusive perks too, the site's called coffee.com, except it's spelled ko-fi.com. The idea is, if you'd buy me a coffee to say thanks, this is how you can do that online. So go to ko-fi.com/Viktor Novitchi. The link's in the description. It means the world. But when we overthink, we're too busy crafting all these thoughts and all these scenarios and all these what ifs that again will never happen. I will keep saying that, guys. They will never happen. And we're too busy with that to see the objective reality. Yeah, like the next step, so that I don't just tell you how bad overthinking is, how evil it is, and how it destroys our life, but without giving you any solution. Let's explore how we can stop overthinking. And the first thing to do, I believe, in my opinion, how it started for me, this journey, on 7th July 2024, I made the decision to stop overthinking. It's that simple. I have it actually written in my journal. Sometimes I journal. And it doesn't mean that the very next day or the very next hour it was done, finished. I never went back to it. I never struggled with again. No. But it was a decision that I made and that I stand with even today. And in all this process, I stood with this decision. That means that whenever I was tempted to overthink, whenever I would go, whenever I would feel pulled back into that or drawn to this, spiral of thoughts and worries and anxiety and what ifs, I would be reminded, okay, I made the decision to stop overthinking. I need to stop this now. I'm not going there again. I'm not doing this again. I'm done with it. I'm done with this thing because it's so bad for me. It's so damaging for me, and it's so damaging for people around me, people that I love. So it's like, you know what? No, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing this again. And I start to be grateful for the things that I have in my life, for the things that God did for me, for the way He saved me from my crap, from the way He delivered me from so much. And I know that sometimes it's difficult to find things to be grateful for when your mind wants to go in this one direction and be so worried and anxious. But start to be grateful for the things that you have in your very proximity. Be grateful for that couch. Be grateful for that camera. Be grateful for this chair, for that desk, for the light, for the house, for the rooftop, for the table, that I have a good sleep, that I have good food at home, that I have people, that I have a family, I have friends, I have a church. There's so many things to be grateful for. There's so many things to be grateful for. You have the power to make decisions, and you have the power to stand with those decisions. I'm an example, and I'm not in any way more special than any of you guys. I'm not stronger than any of you. I'm not, I don't know. We're the same. We're made of the same material, guys. So if I can do it, you can do it. And I overthought my whole life. 20 plus years of overthinking. Trust me that I have a lot of experience in this area. So if I can do it, guys, you can do it. So yeah, start with a decision. Then be grateful for the things that you have. That's going to keep your mind busy. And not just that, because, keeping your mind busy is not the answer in itself, but it's going to make your mind process some good and healthy stuff. Your heart posture also changes, and then everything around you changes, because when your heart posture starts to change, your perspective starts to change. Your perspective about your life, about yourself, about what's around you, about God, about people in your life. But it starts with changing what is happening here in your head. Then it goes to your heart, and then it goes to the lens that you see the world through. And don't feel condemned when you fall into it again, when you find yourself overthinking again. Don't be condemned. Condemnation is not from God ever. It's never from God. God will convict you of things, of sin, but he will never condemn you. Whenever you fail, he will help you get back up and keep going. So as long as you don't give up, and as long as you go back to your decision, you are already on the winning side. And if I repeat that over and over again, it's just that, it's the truth. It's the truth. As long as you don't give up, as long as you keep going back to your decision, you're on the right track. And you're closer to breakthrough. You're closer and closer to breakthrough. Make the decision to talk to someone you trust about it before you go into it. Okay, let me say that again. Before you even overthink about anything, when you're in a good place, in a good season, in a good moment, when your mind is at peace, make the decision to be open and vulnerable and transparent with someone in your life that you trust, that you see Christ in, and speak about those things that happen in your mind in those specific moments. Speak about them, talk about them, explore why, what is the reason, what is the root, what is the motivation. And I'm sure that a lot of good fruit will come out of that conversation. Besides the fact that you might get an answer to those issues, to your, rushing mind, you will also strengthen that relationship. You'll strengthen that connection. You'll have intimacy with each other in a healthy way, in a good way. It will teach you and train you to be vulnerable. It's really helpful. It's a good opportunity. It's an invitation that before you even struggle with it, you make yourself ready so that when the moment comes, you're not taken by surprise. You already have a plan. You already have some tools. You already have some weapons that you can use. You're not just finding yourself in this uncomfortable place. Oh, here we are again. I don't know how to deal with this. I'm just going to dive into all this overthinking again and sink in it. No, let's be wise, guys. Let's be wise. So when we are outside of the trigger moments, when everything is going well, pretty well, when life is good, is the best moment to work on your issues. If you know that you have some issues in your life, some things, areas, parts of your heart, of your soul that they're not really right. Sometimes, these situations happen when I don't really react in the most godly way, most loving way, whatever. When you're good is the best time to work on those things. Because when you're good, you can think about it, you can meditate, you can process, you can hear the Lord, you can surrender. Before you are triggered, before someone pushes your buttons, it's before that you get trained. So that when it happens, you have the chance to respond differently, to put in practice, in actions, what you have learned. And when you're tempted again to go down the spiral of overthinking, just say it, I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. I'm not partnering with overthinking again. I'm done with this thing. I'm done with this thing. I'm not going there again. No more. No more. And then repeat the process, everything that I've shared so far. And finally, I want to lead you in a prayer to help you make this decision if you want. Maybe it's also a prayer that could help you in the moments when you're tempted to go back to the old habit of overthinking. thinking too much, thinking in a harmful way, becoming self-centered, being confused, whatever you are, if you're able to follow me or to receive or to meditate on what I'm praying, feel free to join me in that. So Lord, thank you that you have not given us a spirit of fear or anxiety or worries. You want us to be fully confident and bold before you because you understand us. There's nothing that we're going through that you don't know about. So there's no reason to be afraid. Yeah. And Lord, today I choose to make the decision to stop overthinking. I'm done with it. Today is the day when I am done with overthinking, with all these patterns of thinking and allowing my mind to rush into all these places that just cause me to be anxious, that this just cause me to be, even paranoid about people, about myself. Yeah, I break any agreement with overthinking. And guys, I encourage you that if you're able to say that, if you're able to get to a quiet place where you can make this prayer and say it out loud, that you break any agreement with overthinking, with these thoughts, and you can actually even be more specific about what is the stuff that you overthink about. What are the thoughts that usually come to your mind when you overthink? If it's maybe thoughts about failing or falling from faith or being rejected by people or being unloved or not being good enough or not being wanted, not being seen, all this stuff, whatever it is specifically, you can say, I break any agreement with these thoughts, with these lies, with these patterns of thinking, with this mindset that maybe that you're not going to have enough, that you're always going to be in a place where you're weak. Break those agreements. Break those agreements. It might sound weird to say that, but when we believe those lies, it's almost like making an agreement with them. And Lord, I choose peace. I choose faith, I choose joy, I choose to trust in you and bring all my requests to you because you care for me. Yeah. And forgive me, Lord. I ask for forgiveness. I repent of overthinking, of being scared, of not trusting you, of being worried, of being anxious. I repent and I thank you for forgiving me. I thank you for your blood, Jesus. Yeah, it's that easy, guys. It's not a big thing. It's a practice. It's not overnight, but it's not so complicated. It's really not that complicated, especially if we talk to each other about these things, because it's okay. It's normal. We're human. It's, life happens. Life happens, guys. The one takeaway to take from this episode, if you forgot everything else, is that stopping overthinking starts with making a decision. Okay? And whenever you're drawn to go back to it, even if you find yourself in it, go back to your decision. You're not losing as long as you're not giving up and as long as you go back to your decision, right? And of course, speak to people in your life about it. People that you can trust, people that you look up to, people that you can be real and vulnerable with, people that are wise, people that you see Christ in. Speak to them about that. Don't hold it to yourself because there's nothing embarrassing about it. There's nothing shameful about it. We all go through it. We're human. Cool. Let me know how it was for you guys. And if you want to support this pod, go to ko-fi.com, ko-fi.com/Victor Novitchi. Thank you so much for your encouragement, for all your giving. Thank you for being here. And let me know in the comments what you want us to do next, what you want us to talk about next. And I'll see you next time.